Can you help me is a great question, and it's one you're going to hear a lot if you're doing the IB, which is the hardest school curriculum in the world. However, when you ask, can you help me, to one of your peers, odds are that they have the same experience you have, which, to be fair, is almost none, since most experience and insight is retrospective. So, having finished the IB, I decided to ask my friends how would they help themselves or what would they do differently if they had to start the IB from day one, already having graduated and having done well or relatively well. And this is what they said. So before diving into what they said, my name is Emiliano, and I did the IB in a school with 300 people. It was an international school, so only 100 of those people were actually IB students. I posed the question to them through my Instagram and Twitter. Let's see what knowledge or wisdom they have that they can pass on to us. So the first category we have is the International Baccalaureate. And the first tip we got was take A-levels. Now, I can't really say anything about this because I don't know how the A-level system works or whether it's good or bad or better or worse. If you want to study in the UK, then it might be better if you take A-levels, but it's not a requirement. I have a lot of IB graduates, friends that are studying in the UK, so yeah, I can't say anything about this one. The second one I got in this category was don't do the IB. Now basically, I guess this is very personal. I was really glad I did the IB. Of course, everything is retrospective because during the IB, it's hell. But once you're out and you're through, I was actually really satisfied with how I did. And I was really glad that I did it, as it opened a lot of doors for me and it changed me in ways that are hard to describe or hard to putting into words. But yeah, if you're not a very overly academic person or if you don't want to study abroad, then maybe don't do the IB. Again, it's your decision and really think it through. But once you've started, you don't quit, just push through because I think it's worth it. And this tip is, I would take it along the lines of choose carefully whether you want to or you don't, and not as drop out of the IB as soon as it gets hard, because it is going to get hard and it is challenging. But if you push through, there's bound to be many benefits. And this next tip is one of the most important or one of the best tips I got, and it's study the mark scheme before you study the textbook. Now this is key if you want to do well, because what this tip is saying is give the graders what they want to see. And the way to do that is to know what they want. So before you start writing your A or your extended essay or anything, see what the mark scheme, see where the top marks land, and use it as a checklist to write whatever. This is bound to solve all your IA, EE, or TOK related issues, because it's very simple if you take the mark scheme as a checklist and you say, okay, I've got a title, I've got 3 examples, I've got 2 real life situations, I have 3 pictures, etc. And if you check them off, then you're bound to get in the band of the mark scheme that you're aiming for. So the next segment we got here, the next section is IAs, which stands for internal assessment, and it's basically a project you have in each of your 6 subjects. And the tip we got here was to base your IAs around things you're passionate about, since it'll be easier to work on them, since it's less likely you're gonna burn out or get tired of them. I really agree with this tip right here. It's something I talked about in my extended essay video, but it's really true. If you do things you enjoy, you'll find it easier to work on them, and you'll be able to work on them for longer without getting actually tired of the thing you're working on. And it'll lead you to turn in better things because you've actually enjoyed doing it, and it'll help you turn things in faster, because if you work on it for a longer amount of time, then you're gonna take less time to do it. Now, the second tip we have regarding IAs is to finish all your IAs before March, as March being the latest. Now, this is a general guideline, and of course it is on an individual level, but if anything, I would say that March is very late to get your IAs handed in, because that means you have only 2 months, so you have April and May, or March and April, to cram in 2 years of knowledge for 6 subjects for the exam, probably the most important exams of your life so far. So if I had to design a timeline for the IB and for handing things in, I would say IB1, or the first year of the IB, you can hand in the extended essay, you can get in most of CAS or almost all of CAS, and you can start working on the TOK presentation. In the first semester of IB2, you want to write all your IAs, and you can hand in the final drafts completely finished by February. And as soon as the prompts for the TOK essay are out, I don't know when they come out, but when they do, as soon as they do, pick one and write it. And that should take you not a lot of time, especially if you've seen my video on writing the essay. But that would be a timeline. So February for IAs would be the latest, because then you have enough time to study for the exams. So for the extended essay section, or the EE as we called it, we have the first tip, which is don't postpone TOK and the extended essay. Get them done in year one. And that's really true. I don't know when the TOK prompts come out, so I don't know how applicable it is to do it in year one, but for the extended essay, you 100% want to get it done in year one. Make it a non-negotiable and just get it done, because year two is gonna be hectic and it's gonna be really tough compared to year one. So yeah, just do it as soon as possible. Year one is great. You want to hand in the final draft before you go on summer vacation. Right, so the next tip we got is a bit random. It's do an extended essay in business management. Now this is a bit weird because I personally didn't take business management, and I wouldn't recommend you doing an extended essay in a particular specific subject. If you enjoy business management, sure, do it. If you don't, or don't take it, then probably don't. But yeah, my takeaway from this would be just do an extended essay on a subject you enjoy and you like, and you take. It's important that you take the subject you're doing the extended essay on. The next section is CAS, or Creativity, Activity, and Service. And the first tip we have is don't ignore CAS. And now I couldn't agree with this more, because CAS is one of those things that you need to pass, and it sounds really easy and really simple to just get it done, but you can't half-ass CAS. And also, you can't bullshit your way through CAS. You really need to put in the work and put in the time to do it. So don't postpone it, don't ignore it. It has to be 18 months. That's a requirement. So start from day one, almost week one, and then just work your way through the 18 months. But don't postpone it. Write your reflections as soon as you can, and you should be fine. So the only tip I'm giving, that's coming from me personally, is to save your CAS reflections, because you might need them later. Now this is something I'm regretting, because since I took a gap year, I don't have access to the system my school used to submit CAS reflections, and it would have been really useful for writing personal essays or Common App applications, or writing a CV or something. So make sure to write it both on ManageBack, if that's what your school uses, but also on a Google Docs for yourself. Write your reflections there, so you have a timeline of what you did and when you did it, and you know exactly what you did and what you were feeling, what you were thinking, or your reflections basically. So make sure you always have access to your CAS reflections. So the next section we have is on university or college. And the tip we have is to work on your university applications before you are bombarded by work, because you'll start replacing IB work with uni work. Now, I don't agree with this phrasing. I think you should work on your IB first and then worry about uni applications. So get the IB work out of the way before you start doing uni applications, because it's no use if you bust your ass all year doing the IB, but you don't apply to any universities you want because you didn't have time, or you apply poorly and don't get in. But it's also no use if you apply to the best universities and to your dream universities, but then you don't get the grades you need to get in. So there has to be a balance. And for me, I think the balance is get through the IB work as soon as possible and as quickly as possible, doing it well, and then you can focus most of your time on applications. The next section we have is subjects. Now, the first tip we have was actually from a close friend of mine, and she said, don't do chemistry HL. Now, I can agree with this because I know how much she suffered through it and how taxing it was on her, especially because she wants to study economics, nothing related to chemistry. And chemistry HL is rumored to be the hardest science in the IB. So if you don't need to take chemistry HL, then don't take it. I should have taken it because of medicine. I needed it and I didn't. And for example, my friend who's studying economics, she didn't need it. She could have taken biology or physics or design technology, and that would have worked fine for her. So yeah, this leads on to the second tip, which is to choose your IB subjects carefully. So you should take your IB subjects carefully because you can only take 6, and universities really care about them since it's gonna show them what you know and what you don't know. So for example, for medicine, to study medicine in the UK, you needed biology and chemistry, and I've already done a whole video on the subjects you need for studying medicine. But basically, you need to really know what you want before picking your subjects, and if you don't know, then pick the subjects that will give you the widest range of choices possible, or just subjects you enjoy, because that's potentially what you're going to want to study at university. It's something you enjoy. So yeah, that would be my tip. Choose carefully. Choose based on what you know you want to study. If you know, if you don't, choose on what you enjoy and what you're good at. And those are the 3 things you need to focus on when choosing your IB subjects. So the last and longest section is something I called life skills, because it's applicable to more than just the IB or university or anything. And the first tip we have there is that you need to understand that not everything has to be perfect. And I think I talked about that in this video over here, but basically, sometimes you have to understand and be okay with the fact that being average or handing in something that's not your best, but it's good enough, is enough. And of course, I'm talking about homeworks and things like that, not IAs or exams. Please don't say, that was well enough in the exam. Try your best in the exam. But for simple homeworks or stuff, good enough is enough, and average is enough sometimes. If you're feeling burnt out or stressed, or you just want to get done with it, just say, okay, this is fine, this is good enough. It's not going to get me a 7, but it's not going to get me a 4 either. And then you're fine, you're good. It doesn't have to be perfect all the time. So the next tip we have here is to trust yourself and to trust what you know. And I agree with this wholeheartedly. The only caveat I would have here is that you really need to be honest with yourself about what you know and what you don't know, because you can't just be self-delusional and thinking you know everything and then not study, because that's not gonna work. You don't know everything. Nobody does. So sure, trust yourself and trust what you know, but you also need to know what you know. And to be able to know what you know, you have to be really honest to yourself about what you don't know and what you might not know. So yeah, trust what you know, but be honest with yourself first. The next tip is don't be lazy. And I agree, just don't be lazy, just work. You need to do the work, so do it. You're saving yourself a headache in the future. Just don't be lazy, just do the work. So the next tip is try to finish things early. And I've said this a million times and I'll say it again. There is no reason why you shouldn't do things before they're due. Do things early and you're giving yourself more time to do more things or to do things better. So yeah, there is no reason to not do something early. So yeah, just do things early and don't be lazy. The next 2 tips were be responsible, manage your time, and be self-disciplined was one, and the other was be disciplined. And I agree, you have to be strict on yourself and you have to manage your time and be organized and be responsible and blah, 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 blah. It's something we've all heard and it's something we should all do. There's nothing else to add here. You literally just have to do it and you have to enforce it on yourself. The next one is it can be too much mentally, so be sure to be balanced and take a break. And I agree with this. I've preached about being balanced before. And yeah, you need to take a break. You need to do things for yourself, or you need to be able to not do things without feeling stressed that you're not doing something. And the way to do this is to having done a lot of things before, so you're not like behind on deadlines or just on the line of being late. So just go for a walk, go walk your dog, go talk to your friends, go talk to your family, go play football, go play basketball. Just do whatever relaxes you for yourself, not for cast, not for anything but yourself. And have a lot of time in your day or in your week to just de-stress, to decompress, or have a write-off day where you're like, okay, I'm not doing anything today, no work. It can be Sundays, it can be Tuesdays, it can be whenever. Just be willing to give yourself a break. So a teacher responded on Instagram, and what they told me was to be open to making mistakes. And I agree, but do make sure they're on your drafts. No, I'm kidding. But seriously though, yes, you can make mistakes, and of course that goes really well with the not everything has to be perfect, because you have to be open to making mistakes or to flunking a test, getting a 4 on your essay or something, and then taking it, saying, okay, this was a mistake, but I can do better, and then doing better. Don't let mistakes be the end of your motivation or of your discipline or whatever. Just keep working and you're bound to get better as long as you practice and as long as you don't get shut down after every single mistake you make, because you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. We all do. And it gets tough, and if you start to feel hopeless, see the tip above and take a break and then keep going and then make more mistakes and learn. And yeah, that's it. Make mistakes, but be okay with making mistakes. The next tip is be organized. And yeah, this again goes without saying, you have to be organized. From organizing your notes. At the end of the IB, you're gonna have to study 2 years of material for each subject. It helps if your notes are in order. If you're scrambling to class and you don't have a notebook or you don't have a book, you're gonna get stressed out. If you're organized, that leads to less stress, etc. So be organized, it'll help you, and it's honestly for your own sake. The next tip is always have a copy of your notes online. And I agree, this goes really well with the being organized one before, but you really always want to have a copy of your notes online, whether that's typing them up or taking pictures of your handwritten notes. But just in case you misplace them or you lend them and don't get them back, or you spill coffee all over your backpack, just have a copy of your notes online. It literally costs you nothing, and it can save your life when you're 15 months into the IB and suddenly you can't find your backpack or your stuff got stolen or something. Just have a copy of your notes online. Trust me, you won't regret it. Worst case scenario, once the IB is done, you can just delete them. Now we have three more tips on the support section, and the first one is talk to your teachers as much as you need to. And I agree, because that's what they're there for. They're there to help you and they're there to teach you, and they should, I mean, as long as you're being reasonable and you're not texting them or you're not emailing them at 2 a.m. or something, or like asking for an extension on the day of the deadline, as long as you're being reasonable, you should be fine to talk to them and be like, sir, ma'am, I'm really stressed out. I don't understand this topic. I've never liked math, etc. And they should be able to help you or point you in the right direction. And if they don't, then talk to another teacher. I'm sure there's more than one teacher at your school. So yeah, talk to your teacher and don't be afraid to ask for help. So the second tip is ask for second opinions and don't always trust your teachers. And I really disagree with this. I mean, I agree with the second opinions part. It's what I did for my TOK essay and what a few people did with their art portfolios. Just getting a new perspective or a new fresh set of eyes to look at your work and to give some new different insight from their perspective always helps. But I don't think you should mistrust your teachers, because in the end, they are trying to do what's best for you, from what they think is best for you. And yeah, I don't think any teacher's actively looking out to harm you, so to speak. So don't mistrust your teachers, but sure, look for second opinions. The last tip we got was to read The Secret Art of Passing the IB by Alexander Zov. I'm sorry if I butchered that. And sure, I mean, read it, it can't hurt. Honestly, I don't think it's a secret art. I don't think it's that mystical. Of my class of like 45 to 47 in my school, around 3 or 4 didn't pass only. It's not that the people that did pass, knew a secret art. It's just that you have to be diligent, you have to be disciplined, organized, responsible, and you have to want to pass. So yeah, just do the work you have to do. Don't be lazy, don't slack off, just do your best and you should be fine. If you feel overwhelmed or you're not feeling fine, reach out to somebody, to anyone. And if you want help with anything in particular regarding the IB and academics, you can DM me on social media if you want. So finally guys, if you're really serious about doing well in the IB, then I'm sure you've checked out my playlist on the IB and how I did well on it. I've heard it's a lifesaver, so do check it out, and I'll see you guys next week.